Hello everybody and welcome back here to the World Cyber Arena 2015. I'm Toby1, joined here by Dota Capitalists as we do our third place matchup between Stark as well as CIS Rejects. Stark having the one game advantage at the end of the first game.
Stark looked really good in that first game. They looked pretty much always in control. Even some of the early aggression from CIS Rejects was immediately stemmed. I mean, that first blood fight obviously went their way, and that off lane just continued to go in Stark's favor. So CIS Rejects, if they want to be able to bring the same kind of aggression to the table, they have to actually ensure that their early laning phase is in fact superior and not just, you know, running into that scenario over and over again. So
it felt like at the start that they could have achieved what could have been superior. Like, you start with the Bane, you start with that early control, but then everything just kind of fell apart. And that's where I want to ask you the question here. Like, I know you talked about the Night Stalker very early on, but is he becoming more of a circumstantial pickup? Where it's like, okay, maybe he can work, but we need to make it so, like, our lanes still combined together. I know it's a kind of a...
Short answer, Toby, no. Long answer, Toby, no when CIS teams are playing. They really love Night Stalker, man. They really love it. I agree.
I can understand it, and I have seen the effect through vision advantage that Night Stalker does gain. But I just wonder if you can assemble your lanes a little bit better before you pick up the Night Stalker. Understand what you're up against beforehand. Because, like, what does Night Stalker do when you have all that vision and you have a team like Stark, which just groups up and has this net-carrying SF that just pushes? It's... What do you do?
I agree with you, Toby. I don't believe that's the way it should be. I don't believe that the Night Stalker offers you enough in the draft that you should first pick him, but... You know, I'm not going to argue with these CIS teams, man. Like, they're going to do what they're going to do. They love those heroes, and this time around, they're not going to get the Night Stalker, but they're going to go the Tusk instead because Stark go ahead and give Trixie his Darkseer. I feel like it's probably one of his best heroes.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm trying to stay away from flaming Trixie because he's a really valuable. He's probably one of the best players on this team.
That was always Trixie's thing, man. Like,
yeah, Trixie always dies in the laning phase.
Yeah, that was the Fnatic motto. If Trixie dies, we win the game. Like, that was it.
So Darkseer actually is one of the heroes that it's a bit hard to feed consistently because you can be so defensive and still get farm. So. Yeah, I really like it when I see Trixie play Darkseer because I know he's probably going to be dying less in the laning phase, and it makes me feel good about the game. I mean, I'm trying to stay away from flaming because I like Trixie. Sometimes feeding, like, playing really aggressively in the off lane is the way to play.
Yeah.
It used to be the way to play. Remember, like, back in when off lane was just like, die and repeat and die and die, and that's how you got levels, with just like running into the lane. That was Trixie's era, man. He was like, I own this. I know what this is all about. The meta isn't quite that way anymore, but Trixie still plays it really aggressively. And that's something that I like to see in offlaners because it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But Darkseer is one of those heroes that it's a little bit more difficult to play that offensively. So Winter Wyvern as the coupling hero, Stark very often pick up this hero. They like Winter Wyvern quite a bit.
It's a classic combo too. The Darkseer Wyvern, we saw this thing shred apart TI5. It kind of fell out of favor recently though. You don't really see that combo, that back into a big curse anymore. In fact, the last 2 times I've cast a Darkseer versus a Wyvern game, normally it's been Wyvern's just stable positioning. He gets like an early Blink Dagger and gets the curse off himself, doesn't have to combine with the Darkseer.
Yeah, and he's pretty good control. I mean, the Tusk Snowball, you obviously can't really grab people against a Winter Wyvern because that's just setting up for a Winter's Curse, and it's good lockdown versus the Queen of Pain. That being said, Tusk can actually, if you play correctly, Tusk can actually offer as a counter to the Winter Wyvern Winter's Curse. You respond to the Winter's Curse by snowballing through, and you pick up the hero that's Winter's Curse. So it's actually a really good way to mitigate that disable. It's actually really good. I've watched a couple of Tusks do this before. It's great. You just have to have the right positioning. So usually what it is that you sit behind the hero that's most likely going to be targeted, and you always look to snowball the Winter Wyvern because he's going to be the one farthest back most likely. So you snowball him, the Winter's Curse goes down, you snowball through, you pick up that hero, and by the time you get to the Winter Wyvern, Winter's Curse is run out.
Seems legit.
It is legit. Believe me.
I'm actually really hoping we see it tonight. Stark, however, like, they don't really care about this. You want to snowball yourself in. You've now got an Ember Spirit to combine up with the Fighting Power, early Battle Fury to work with the Darkseer. You get a nice vac into everything, and then just slice, and dice. With a Flame Guard combination, as well as Darkseer's Iron Shell, you could be so aggressive with this lineup. And you've got really good lockdown controls, because what's Queen of Pain going to do? You get Searing Chained, and you have to stand there and take the damage. The answer is stop them from moving with the Silencer.
Silencer is a great counter hero to the Winter Wyvern because you Winter's Curse, he ults. Like every single time that's going to be the combination.
So there's no magical follow-up damage.
Yeah, so it's just right-click damage. It's not like not until the very late game is it all that powerful. So
good against an Ember too, who doesn't like to go into a BKB. Remaining. So he can't just like negate that silence as well.
Oh, yeah.
5 seconds
yeah. He will very likely be forced to buy Manta first, which slows down his Battle Fury. You oftentimes see Ember Spirits not able to get a Battle Fury until like 35 minutes because of Orchids or any kind of silence that threatens them. So that's going to be rather problematic for him.
They really need to make some space then for the Ember Spirit to farm. Like through pressure of another lane or ganking up the mid, but how do you gank a Queen of Pain? And we assume this will be like a Task Guard Dazzle duel off lane and a Silencer safe lane with +1. So is this when you get a little bit more aggressive? Like, do you go back to what you had before? Like, do you go back into the Battle of... Okay, no, you don't. I was going to say the Battle of the Dragons with both Wyvern and Hero combining up together. They are such great lane presence, but it'll be a Disruptor pickup instead. So they get themselves the Glimpse back on the Queen of Pain, control on the Silencer, control against the Tuskar.
I can see their thought process because the synergy is really good with Winter Wyvern as well as Darkseer. It's a good controlling hero versus Queen of Pain. It's very good versus Tusk as well. The problem is not whether or not the Disruptor is good within your own lineup and it's good versus certain heroes on CIS rejects. It's more important, I feel like, because I oftentimes made this mistake when I was calling drafts. I was thinking, okay, you have this combination, it's really good. The important thing is actually the tempo of the game. That's more important for a Disruptor because the AoE combination is less likely to actually happen, right? But what happens consistently through the game is glimpse. And that's the more key factor here for a Disruptor. And in order to get good glimpses, you have to be the aggressors. And I don't feel that way when I have a Darkseer, when I have Winter Wyvern, Ember Spirit can be an aggressive hero, but it's mainly the Darkseer that keeps me passive. And I don't see how the last pick carry of Stark, the last pick mid is what it could be, is going to change my mind about that. I'm not sure how Stark is actually going to be the ones controlling the tempo in the first 20 minutes, allowing those glimpses to happen. What
if they get aggressive with something? Like, if they had the Queen of Pain, then I would be like, yeah, the tempo, they can control it. They can throttle CIS rejects out. But what if you just get something like a Lina pickup now? Like, you create that space, you try and combo with the Wyvern, you move around the map.
You have to deal with the Silencer, first and foremost, so I think there is no aggressive hero that I can think of in my mind that goes mid that is not torn apart by Silencer. Like Lina, you have a big problem with Silencer. Puck, you have a big problem with Silencer.
What if you just get tanky? What if you have
Viper is okay, actually.
I was actually thinking DK as well. Like, what if you went for something like the big... Like the big tanky kind of guy, you're trying to initiate, he just tanks through it all.
Yeah, that's possible. The thing is, I don't think Viper or Dragonite or those kind of heroes is actually what Stark is picking up. I think we have to disregard the fact that you're not going to be able to get tempo, and they have to try and look at this in a late game perspective and go, okay, we're going to pick up another like semi-carry mid that will pick up a BKB. What's really left though? Because most of the semi-carry mids are taken away.
I don't want to bring it up, but Alchemist is still available in the pool.
10 seconds
Alchemist
remaining.
Isn't. I think it's too greedy. Ooh,
okay.
What?
You want a tempo controller? We get a Boogie Lycan.
That is a really interesting one.
Which means that pushes Ember. Actually, do you still try and switch it up? You try and just push the Ember back into the mid? Put his farm at risk to get the Lycan, and then what do you build as this Lycan? Do you go for the BKB, or do you think like we have to go for the kind of like the pushy kind of style, run him almost like the Beastmaster is with the early Necro book?
You know, I'm not gonna feel too bad about it, but it makes sense that they went Lycan. I feel like I almost should have called that because the obvious thing was that they didn't have any uphill power. And what hero excels at uphill power? That's going to be the Lycan.
What hero also doesn't care about silence?
Yeah, the hero doesn't really care about silence, is actually going to be a decent hero versus like Animage and Queen of Pain, in that you can still kind of run him down.
Sentry Ward Disruptor. He's got to get rid of that other Sentry.
Well played.
Afterlife actually burns. So he burns a Sentry Ward. Stark keep their Observe Ward in lane. And that kind of means, like, if Trixie can get this block on the bottom, he can actually make it so they cannot pull the bottom. Like, Ramses will move over.
At the same time, Afterlife, with the extra counter ward that he was just given, he'll take away both the ward and counter ward, so they won't have laning vision anymore. It's a good trade-off for OKC. Like, he prevents the pull from being blocked, and that's pretty important. But there is certain upsides for
I'm just thinking about the effect on bottom lane. Like, if it can give Trixie the ability just to Iron Shot without having to worry about the camps being pulled up all the time, like, that's a wonderful time. But he can't get there. Like, this time we won't have our level 1 fight. Afterlife definitely does not want to come down here. You see how much damage he takes from one level. Like, the Thunderstrike's damage is really, like, you don't think about how much damage it does at level 1. But Afterlife's walking around with 2/3 of his life at the moment. Yeah, because of one Thunderstrike.
That ability is super OP at level 1. It's probably the best harassment ability out there. Well, I mean, I guess alongside Arctic Burn. Because that's another one that's incredibly OP for harassment at level 1.
Speaking of that, the Arctic Burn will start in the mid lane. So Roger's going to come to try and help out Iceberg at the very, very start. But Nemphy and Varlix, they're going to feel so comfortable here. And, okay, there it is. Just with the Arctic Burn, starts beating him. The Poison Touch where Dazzle, Poison Touch versus Arctic Burn. Who's really got the power here? Okay, maybe they do when Wyvern drops down that low.
It's funny, this matchup, it used to be pretty Queen of Pain favorites until Ember Spirit started going early levels of Sleight of Fist in order to dodge the Shadow Strike. And that actually puts the lane a lot more even for the Ember Spirit than it used to be.
It's like the guarantee, like, what was it, the old TA meld dodges?
Yeah, versus the Queen of Pain, and then you had the counter wards that started coming out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
He still got hit by the Shadow Strike that time.
Yeah.
So maybe just a little bit of mistiming.
What it was, he didn't have enough creep waves to fully dodge. Because what you have to do is, by the time the Shadow Strike would land on you, you still have to be Sleight of Fisting. So if you use it too early, it's not a simple disjoint. You have to actually still be there, because the Shadow Strike will just keep going like you were still there.
They're going. They're moving forward, but that Sleight of Fist is still on cooldown. And with no Searing Chains as well from Nemphy, because he's only level 2 at the moment, they don't have an opening. And Trixie, it's that time. He's going to surge himself away, and you really see the lack of ability of CIS to control Trixie, because there's no stuns in that lineup. That was one thing which we didn't really talk about. The fact that Silencer and Dazzle, unless we see a level 4 Poison Touch, like, there is no stuns for these guys. The Animage has to rely on, what, Mana Void to get the stuns there. Queen of Pain doesn't hold a stun, so their control over heroes like Ember and Lycan during team fights is going to be fairly negligible. It's all up to the Tusker. It's all up to Afterlife.
Especially since the Silencer is even worse versus Lycan than he used to be. He doesn't even offer a disarm. So that, like, instead of a disarm, you have a slow, which is so bad versus Lycan, obviously. So yeah, you're actually even worse than you used to be against this hero.
And troubled times ahead if
man,
this goes the way I see it in my head. It really is. It really is. Nemphy, he's going to be careful. Copping a fair chunk of damage here from Iceberg, but that Flame Guard... Okay, so how does Iceberg even win this lane? Like, he's trying to do it with physical damage into Nemphy, but the Flame Guard soaks up almost all the damage of the Shadow Strike. Afterlife's going to die here on the top lane. He's being glimpsed all the way back. Snowball through to Varlix. They don't have the wall available, but with a Splinter Blast, they have enough range damage. With the Lycan Wolves moving forward, it'll be the Winter Wyvern who takes the first blood. But it goes the way of Stark.
Yeah, smart play, especially since they went as the enemy creep wave was coming in, which means that you guarantee yourself a Splinter Blast when he tries to snowball out. That was the ideal scenario, because otherwise, if the creep wave isn't there, I don't think they get that kill. But the extra 100 damage and the slow was pretty important.
So Trixie doesn't feed, has 20 CS in 3 minutes. Hey, game is won just on that point. Not really. Okay, see ya. A little bit of trouble. Afterlife. He's still got Snowball available, so he knows he's got this guaranteed kill. But Boogie wants to do something about it. He puts the Wolf in front, trying to go for the body block over on Afterlife, and ends up getting blocked by the range creep as well as the Radiant creep as well as his own creep wave there. So decides not to chase it down too far. Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade-off on the top. But this Darkseer is already up at level 5. That's a level 3 Iron Shell available for him. And he's got to help out his teammates. Nerfy kept away from the room. Varg's able just to Arctic burn himself up onto the hillside. Needs to get back down again, however, before that wears off, as he didn't have himself a TP scroll. Iceberg doesn't find the opportunity to keep the chase going. So they'll take the runes, so regen for her. And back to the laning phase.
Very surprised he didn't try and play that aggressively to go for the Winter Wyverns, but I think he didn't pop the regen for a while because the Arctic Burn was still ticking him down. That's probably what prevented him from playing that aggressively and going for that kill. Nice fake out there. Managed to get Nymphy to throw out the Sleight of Fist. And this is what you'll see oftentimes, is that the Queen of Pain has to start faking out Shadow Strikes in order to start getting the harassment. The problem is he already missed enough that he wasn't able to maintain control of this lane, and you could see the Ember Spirit. The result is, like, he's 15-0. You look at the CS and you go, oh, but the Queen of Pain's still winning. Yeah, but that's relative, right? Relative to the matchup, the Queen of Pain can do better in this matchup than the Ember Spirit. So Ember Spirit just getting kind of even CS is actually quite favorable.
Man, I'd still be more concerned the fact that Trixie has this farm. So you talk about the timing of, like, yeah, Queen of Pain should be at a better point in the game. The combination you're going to have when you have a level 4 Iron Shell onto a Lycan who's about to hit level 6, he can run down anybody and kill off anybody. Ember Spirit as well being enabled by this. It's almost like looking back at the old, like when we ran Magnus in the mid, and you tried to look at the timing to see when he'd pick up that Empower to give the buff up to everyone else. That's the kind of, like, same view I'm having for Trixie, except he's not only doing the buff up of damage, they've got this early mech coming from him because they're giving him all the space in the jungle to farm up.
Yeah, this is one of the things that Darkseers have seen less priority because we're so stat-focused for our carries and for our mid laners, that there's less value in the Darkseer pickup because you can't go jungle. But in this game, both Lycan and Ember Spirit, while they can jungle, are not necessarily stacking heroes. So Trixie has actually got a lot of room to work here. This does mean that he's focusing more on farm than shutting down the Animage's farm, which is a very big distinction to make. Oh, Valix. He knew he was kind of... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they're going to have a stun. Oh, yeah, they do. They have a Mana Void.
Roshan
will jump up. There you go. He can't. He won't attack outside of his own pit. All right, so you get the kill over on the Wyvern. That's really nice for the AM, because AM was behind in the net worth. Like, he also went in for this very defensive
nice pick off
build.
On Empty here.
Yeah, with the Sonic Wave, even hitting Disruptor, but Afterlife's going to give up his life for this. They want to glimpse him back over again, and now bring him underneath the tower, but at the same time, Queen of Pain just takes the 2 kills. That's a little too easy.
Yeah, that was weird. The Disruptor, I mean, he was like, I'm committed for this kill, I think, on Afterlife. But I think he viewed the kill on Afterlife as being more valuable than it actually was. Because Afterlife isn't that farm. Like, he's only level 4.
Yeah.
So if it was like a level 6 Tusk or something like that, and you trade away your life for successfully getting the kill on him, then yeah, you could say, okay, that's worth it. But
that just put Queen of Pain back to exactly where she wants to be. Full magic wand now. Trez being done 7 minutes in. You're finding your openings you wanted before. Like, you're finding your farm on your core heroes. The Animage as well as the Queen of Pain, while they were the top net worth for a little bit. Boogie is catching up. Also notice too the build that Boogie is going for. He's going for a Vladimir's Offering as his first item for the Lycan. Combine that up with the mech, and Stark's teamfight group up is pretty damn scary just based on auras. I don't know if it's really a lineup though that you want to be pushing with. Like, maybe if it's making space for Ember Spirit on the top lane, I could understand it.
Yeah, that's what they'll probably going to be doing, is a lot of 4-man pushing once they have the mech, the Vlads, and the level 6s on the supports. What it looks like is that the level 6s on the supports is actually going to be the last thing that happens. So they may need to put a little bit more priority in them being given a lane. Like, the Lycan can just go jungle and give one of the supports the lane to farm at top.
Well, Goth Black, he thought he slipped himself through just then. He put down the Observer Ward behind the Tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, but because he came out of Roshan, Trixie scabbed this out. More than likely, he's going to flag the fact there's an Observer Ward up there. So be a little bit more mindful about this bottom lane.
know what's kind of funny is the first time that I saw Iceberg successfully fake out Shatter Strike and land on the Ember Spirit is exactly when the Ember Spirit starts massively losing his lane. Like, the moment that happened, he hasn't picked up, like, a single CS since. Like, he's gotten 2 CS and 1 deny ever since I mentioned that, like, 2.5 minutes ago. So he is very dramatically suffering ever since that that harassment from Iceberg, but obviously the gank was what really kept him shut down. And the Queen of Pain is getting a decent jump ahead now, 42 and 24. It's amazing how many denies he's got.
Kind of weird watching this top lane. Like, for a moment you think Stark are getting ready to push, and then you realize, wait, this is a Disruptor and a Wyvern support. They can't push Jack. All they could try and do is, like, get a pick off. Boogie is the main man to push, but he doesn't have the mana required to do so. Like, he's got the Vladimir's aura, but that's nice. It's only giving him 2 mana a second. So he can't keep spamming out wolves. He can't give raw to the rest of his teammates all the time. And now Nemphy will rotate out. Like, he could take the farm on the top lane, then jump back to mid. They try and just maximize his farm. And yeah, they're pushing Boogie into the jungle with that Vlad's. This is when Darkseer has to move out, but he's already got level 9 on Trixie. Like, Trixie's got 82 CS in just under 10 minutes. They're jumping mid? Yeah, they are. Sonic Wave just to pop the Winter Wyvern. Tried to cold embrace himself to save his life, but Sonic Wave too good. And she's rotating Boogie into the mid lane now. I don't think this was the plan. Like, if Wyvern was still alive, like, they would have just let Wyvern take the farm in the mid and leave Boogie inside the jungle. But because Wyvern's dead, you may as well.
Things are looking pretty good for CIS Rejects right now. It'll depend. You have to keep an eye on Iceberg and Afterlife. They have this moment of time where they can be super aggressive against the supports.
Well, they found that time. The Side of Fist Searing Chain's going to catch out the Tusker. There's no mana for anything else. Tries to TP out. The
nice.
Shallow Grave will ensure he's protected. Roger as well for his TP. The damage from the Wolves won't be enough. They get the pick off and they get out scot-free.
That's exactly the kind of plays you can make against these supports because they're so crappy pre-level 6. There's just no other way to describe it. They're bad. They're real bad. And this is very dangerous. It's usually something that I point out in the draft because I feel like teams actually make a lot of these mistakes. They focus on what these supports can do for them and not on what they lack. Yeah. What they very clearly both lack is this 10-minute marker where they're not quite level 6. They're just food.
They need to almost have like space being purchased for them. Because I'm still feeling like Stark's cores are stronger than CISR's, but only with the help of the supports of Stark. So at that point, like the Lycan moving into the jungle, you can give the space on the top lane for this. You just keep the two of them together. And Lycan can rotate over if things get rough.
For me, it was the fact that you don't need Vlads on the Lycan to jungle.
Yeah, you only need the Morbid Mask to do it.
Yeah,
you would need the whole thing.
I think that was a mistake by... I mean, even that, really you just need mana regen, technically, right? Because Wolves will tank up for you once you're level 7. They actually have enough HP to do that. So I think they should have rotated Lycan in the jungle much earlier. We used to see when the era of Lycan was happening, we always had these heroes that would go jungle. He'd do it at like level 5. You know, like I think they should have done that so much sooner if they had something like a Disruptor. Trixie's going to be caught.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get himself denied up by the Satyrs, which potentially could have gone for the blast, but the Mana Void there from Ramses will find the kill. I'm kind of with you. It was the logic. Like I brought it up for a moment. Like the fact you get this early mech on the Darkseer. Now Trixie didn't lose anything. He spent all of his money before his death. He has the full mech up now, 12 minutes in. You have a full Vlads on Lycan. And the question I pose is, do you push with this lineup? Can you push with this lineup?
No, not till level 6 at least.
So then your only option is what? Roshan? You try and force, like you go in there, you smoke up, you take out Roshan. And if they try and fight you, then you accept that.
Nemphy is gunning for this one because he has the regen. He actually has it, maybe.
Global Silence has to be popped, but he's just in range. The Flame Guard range is so huge.
God, that range was absurd.
Yeah, able to catch out the Queen of Pain. Trixie in a little bit of trouble on bottom lane. You might need a little bit more help down here, but Ramsey doesn't have enough damage to really intimidate Trixie. It's the mana burn, which is causing Trixie a couple of problems. In fact, he's going to vac back in Ramses. There's your blink north, moving away. The armor increasing all the time, but it's in the middle lane. Okay, Suka. I mean, see ya. Ends up going down.
A Freudian slip from Toby.
Roger will end up dying at the bottom lane as well. Whoops.
Oh god, that's one of the funniest things you've ever done, Toby. But yeah, this is the problem where you start like, you didn't do it early enough. You're like, okay, now we're putting, you know, room for the support to do these things.
Top lane, the snowball's coming, but the curse is over an Iceberg. And Afterlife is locked in here. Iceberg wants to get away. The Walrus Punch is stopping Boogie for the moment, but look at the damage into Afterlife. This is where the Lycan just rips apart CISR. They just cannot fight him. That's the first Lycan Wolf ulti we've seen popped. It's taken this long to get to that point. You take out the tier 1 tower top, Nemphy creep skips the bottom, and Trixie is just pushing in this bottom tier 1 tower.
Yeah, they're lawn mowing down the creep wave right now.
This is when
that's what this combo is called, by the way, Toby.
It's the lawnmower.
It's called the lawnmower. Flame guard plus ion shell.
Okay, C is down. Trixie looking to chase him further. Gold Black. Trixie, he is not really ready to fight this. Nemphy wasn't in a position to fight either. He doesn't have enough spirits up and running. But this is probably going to be the testing point for CISR. Like, you're being split push, you lose your tier 1 towers on both side lanes. You know Roshan's now on the list here for Stark, and that's exactly where they go. Medallion as well as Vlad's is up. So Boogie will now do this solo. And Nemphy's on the hunt. Like, his smoke is going to break, and Roger sees him moving in. Trixie will give him the Iron Shell, and where are you going here? I don't know. He's under perfect vision, and now will run himself away. Keeps the attention in the mid lane at least. Drags the creep wave down. Slider Fist, Searing Chains doing a lot of work. That flame card burning through Roger. The global silence will come again as Nemphy getting Walrus punched out. The Shallow Grave, he's got back alive, and he gets out to the Spirit. The Urn Charge won't do enough to kill him off, and Roshan's almost down, but what are you doing? CISR's moving over. They back out of the pit. They want to try and fight from the high ground here. The Shards locking in OKC as well as Boogie here at Afterlife. He's got Walrus Punch in 1 second. The back is there. Trixie, the Mana Void, destroys the Disruptor. The Curse will keep Animage in control, but Nemphy backs the wall of fighting as he comes in with the Searing Chains and Flame Guard, but there's still not enough damage. Ramses wants to burn out more, force to blink away. Trixie, low and controlled up by Gold Black. But where is Nemphy going to go? He's got Spirits, so we're always going to do a Searing Chain over on the Dazzle. That's where the Lycan Wolves are. The ones of Wyvern will actually finish the kill off with the Walrus Punch forward and jump back down again. That's not where Nemphy wants to go. He's forced to stand where he is. The Shallow Grave, well, okay. Not even required. I thought it was actually going to be used to keep the Queen of Pain alive, but with Dazzle down, there's no choice for that. As Varlix walking himself around, limping back through that Disruptor ulti, but Gold Black stands his ground through this entire fight, moving for OKC. There's your Urn Charge, but Gold Black, he gets another +2. Trixie, does he have a back? Does he have the damage? He's got it with the Darkseer Wall to find the kill over on the Tusker. Meanwhile, North, Randy taking tier 1 tower.
A big win there for CIS Rejects. I was going to start all of this by saying,
Is it, man? If Stark still take Roshan, is that still a win?
I mean, it's dire side Lycan. You're going to give him Roshan eventually. I don't think there's anything to stop that. What you do is make sure that you get the best possible trade for that. And winning a really big team fight and taking a tier 1 tower, I think is exactly that, a superior trade.
Boogie even commits his ulti. They back up just in case anyone was there. That is ultimate paranoia from Stark.
I mean, I want to give props to Nemphy because what he did was really, really like YOLO, but he also had it pretty well read in that he was able to play that aggressively and still get out. I think his plan was to jump out before the Global Silence, but then the Global Silence hit and he was still able to get away. That was good. There is something to be said about playing aggressively when you have your ally trying to do Roshan, because you keep the enemy's mind off of checking the Roshan pit and you keep them in defensive posture. Unfortunately, it just didn't work.
They're jumping him. In comes Nemphy, gets a double Searing Chains with a Slider Fist, and they get that curse off over on the Queen of Pain. The back in, locks him inside the storm. 3 heroes down for CISR. They want to go for more. Nemphy has no spirits, but with the movement speed, they just surge him up, and Gold Black keep the chase going, gets the vision, and that allows him to glimpse him back into the wall. Nemphy's coming back over. He has to run from one side, that mid lane, to the other to ensure the kill on Gold Black, but they'll find it in one attack. There it is from OKC. No, it's not. Okay, they require 2. but that'll do the job anyway. Tier 1 tower to drop as well. Mage, Ramses is just keeping the split push going. Trixie, he's got no mana. This may not be the dream. Like, that's a level 2 mana void. He'll surge himself away. The blink forward from Ramses. He needs more damage. He needs more damage. At least he takes out the creep wave with it. That's one step to farming. But where is Trixie going to go? Tries to juke it around the tower. Can't go any further, but Ramses already committed his blink. 2 seconds, 1 second. Now he can blink again. The searing chains. He actually blinked after the searing chains connected or during? Either way, he's in the trees and blinks down further. He's the way to safety.
I'm not crazy, right? The chains definitely hit him.
Yeah. The animation started going around him.
What? All right, that's definitely a kill. Dota 2. What? Because you can't for anybody who's like a little bit questioning that, you can't jump out of shackles. You can't blink away from shackles.
Yep.
So that very clearly should have been a kill for Nemphy. That was absurd.
Robbed.
The moment I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, worthy trade-off.
Unless the Syrian chains prioritizes targets around him, like it goes from like one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and isn't just an instant AoE lock. That's the only other way I would see that working.
I mean, even then, the animation is there. Like, as soon as it touches you, you're disabled. Yeah. So
Iceberg won't have enough time to blink himself away from that one. Okay, so you're committing the storm. Top lane as well, the Aegis Immortal has been blown over on the Lycan, but okay, there's no ulti form for 18 seconds, but they're searching for an opening, and they do find the Dazzle. Down the tree lines. I'm sorry, Roger. He's hoping to Shallow Grave TP himself out of here. Without Trixie using the vac, there's just no way to do it. And there's also a Searing Chain potential.
I like how he ran after. Instead of just like right-clicking whatever was there, he's like, no, I have to right-click Trixie. That's who I'm going to go for. Ramses is already cutting the creep wave as best as he can, but this will be Stark pushing into the tier 2.
I love how Nemphy just TP's back straight away. He's at the BTs. He's still got the Spirit on the top lane, so he can rejoin the rest of his team. But he just chases down Ramses, making sure like Ramses doesn't feel like he can walk wherever the hell he wants on this map. Pitch a flag and claim the moon as your own. Okay, tier 2 tower on the top lane. 60 damage left, and there goes the tower. Lycan Wolf will take care of the rest of it. That Sonic Wave does decent damage, but the global silence making it so Stark can't really reply here. Trixie, while he gets the back and wall in the chorus, it is perfect. Ramses, the Shallow Grave is the only reason he is still alive right now. You may have lost Trixie, but as always, Trixie dies, you win the fight. Tuskar as well as Mage is going to go down. Goldblack's on the run out of here with Wolves, but there's AM Illusions chasing him. Slight Fist Searing Chains back off cooldown as well for Nemphy, and Goldblack, all he could do is just curse up Nemphy. Actually stops him from going for the combination.
The funny thing is that the fact that the Animage was unable to kill the Disruptor with his ultimate actually is what killed the Animage in the end, because he got that Shallow Grave and blinked away, but because Disruptor was still alive, he managed to get the glimpse on the Animage and pulled him back. A very critical kill that now allows Stark to freely push into a tier 3 tower, despite if the Animage was still up, it would be too risky to make that kind of play.
Nemphy missing on the Searing Chain. That could have been another death right then over on the Queen of Pain, because Static Storm's already up, and in fact they just glimpse him in, go for the Storm, and Iceberg's in a world of hurt at the moment. The Snowball will come in and try and protect him. The Shallow Grave doing the work as well. They don't have enough, but well, yep, remember the objective-based gaming, and that's exactly what Boogie's doing. He just keeps going on that melee Rex. They'll take it out. That burst heal! Okay, Disruptor was a fraction of a second from surviving, and Boogie, where do you go? He just buys his level 3 Necro Book. He needs 6 seconds until ulti form. Summons the Wolves, starts the TP. The Snowball will end up cancelling that one. He won't blow the ultimate. He'll accept the fact that he is dead, but they got what they came for. They take out the top melee racks, and they'll just wait for the next Roshan before they do the next one.
Yeah, it's funny how timing works, but it is actually completely worth it to trade almost your whole entire team for a melee Rax when it's really early on to the game, because the melee Rax actually affects the enemy's economy. Well, so does the range Rax, but melee Rax affects it a bit more. Because you actually get basically half the amount of gold for killing those super creeps as you would regular creeps. So yes, you're giving the enemy this burst of experience and gold, but it's worth it.
Trixie, he took the DD room from him before. Now Nemphy, oh wait, hang on, this isn't the dream. The Snowball's coming in. Nemphy is so low, the Mana Void will end up killing him. He thought with the Iron Shell, with Trixie stealing the DD, that there was no real bite left in that Animage, but Ramses proves him wrong, and that is going to be, with support of Tuskar, a kill over on the Ember.
Committing heroes for objectives is worth it. Committing heroes in that situation to feed, don't know what that was. It's just them
they thought they had
the
they thought they had an easy kill. That's really what it was.
Anti-mage is never an easy kill, man.
Mid, there's your blink into the curse, and Boogie just runs forward. Those Necro books go to town, and look at Godblack. Straight through him.
Oh, good lord.
Yep.
An Necronomicon plus a medallion.
Look at him go. He's just like, push the mid lane. Let's go, boys. There's a tier 3 tower with their name on it. They actually don't have time. These Necro units time out in 16 seconds, and the creep wave's going to take that long to get there.
Funny thing is, Nymphy is still like not that much of a factor. He's only just now about to finish up his Manta, but it's just the Lycan show. Like the Ember got shut down really hard in the mid lane, and even now is only 3rd in net worth because of all the towers and objectives they've gotten. If you put the Queen of Pain on an even number of tower scales at the Ember Spirit, she'd be like so far ahead of him.
Starker bailing. They smoke up. Roshan's not up for another minute. But with this smoke maneuver, like, where are they going? They're surging up and moving over towards the Ancients. They're expecting... Okay, they must be expecting the Animage to be farming up their Ancients, but instead, Ramses reads it right and just TPs himself away. And they have to wait longer for Roshan.
Yeah, I think that the play right now for Stark is to, like, this is the period of time where they could lose control of the game, everything they've gained for themselves. They should, if they have multiple smokes, which they've used one now, and they have another one on Valix, they should do it. Because if they just win one team fight right now and secure themselves Roshan, I think the game is practically over. CIS Rejects should be playing this really aggressively, should be using smokes of their own, because this is the biggest period of time where CIS Rejects could actually make a comeback for some of their earlier failings.
They're looking at it. They really want it. Boogie is so obviously bait, however, right now. Iceberg's going to jump in. Valix, there's the global silence. But the Glimmer Cape, it makes so they cannot attack into Boogie. They throw down one of these sentries. Godblack blocked 4 of them before they start this fight. But with the Disruptor only... What? That wasn't a right glimpse. As he dragged them back, you still get the big man back wall. So they do get the kill over on Silencer, but Boogie takes so much damage from Ramses just to ensure this fight. The Snowball Boogie, keep it running. They'll put him in the cold embrace and Afterlife trapped underneath this tower. He's got the Walrus Punch, flips the dog, but Afterlife on the run out of here. He can't get far enough away. Boogie will mop him up. And that's a double kill coming in for the Lycan. 3 for all of Stark. The Queen of Pain saved by the Disruptor. And Roshan's going to spawn up in 30 seconds time. But Stark are coming in for that mid tower. They want to force buybacks if possible, but none. Well, actually, one's available. It's only the Tusker.
They don't have the ultimate from the Lycan, nor they have Necronomicon minions, so this may not be them taking the full lane of Rax. We'll see what happens, how the harassment comes in from CIS Rejects, whether it's effective at pushing back Stark. Well, that's not a great start because it only hit 2 heroes. Trixie actually blinked out of the way of it.
Yep.
And then immediately Guardian Greaves offsets all the damage that's done.
Yeah, and they got what they needed. Stark's actually back out almost at this point. Like, they're coming back up again. Move yourself back, take out Roshan, then just push the bottom lane. Because they can't go for the Megas anyway. That bottom tier 2 tower is still up, so they cannot keep this push going.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect for Stark. They got the mid lane of Rax. They were able to commit to that and still back up and probably take Roshan here. CIS Rejects, if they don't get a good Roshan fight, the game's over. Like, that it's simple as that because it's 2 lanes of Rax. You very unlikely are to recover from 2 lanes of Rax, especially when it's like pre-30 minutes like this. And it's not even like CIS Rejects have better late game.
They're coming. They're looking for Ramses. Boogie into the ulti form. Looking for Ramses in the tree line. Nymphy able to get that side of fist off back in. And he's actually locked here. The blink now back off. Well, now he could use it because the Searing Chains wears off. But Boogie, they just keep running after him. The glimpse up, but he's not locked inside the wall. They have to commit cuts as well. Oh my. Stark. This is some hatred against the anti-mage and a whole bunch of abilities that have to be burned.
It's funny how they can make, this is how far ahead they are because of the, I think it was the top lane team fight that they got that really pushed them ahead. They can afford to make these kind of like mistakes, like the glimpse in the middle lane, which is very clearly, you know, messed up the kill on the Queen of Pain, or, you know, missing some of those abilities on the Animage, because they have so much extra that they can commit without being down to CIS Rejects. And they're still in a perfectly good position. As you can see, they blew all of that to kill the Animage, yet CIS Rejects can't challenge for Roshan. All they did was take a tier 1 tower in response.
This is just like, this is actually hilarious in a way. Like the fact that you can make a bonfire and burn that many abilities up against CISR, and then you still think, yep, that's okay. Like, we'll go in, we'll take Roshan. They're in no position to fight. They're one hero down, but you're still that confident. And now they can move for the GG push. Like, Iceberg's pushing into this tier 2 tower. He's dragging the creep wave back with him, just so he can creep skip it. But what does Stark care? Like, they just push him through the bottom. They take out the racks. That's all that really matters. And you're doing this while Nemphy is walking around with BT's man. He doesn't have the Battle Fury yet. Like, this is just a... It really is the Lycan show. The Winter Wyvern has been playing an amazing game as well. Varlix, with his Blink Curses, the Glimmer Cape to protect Nemphy as well in the middle lane. That was CISR where they could have got the advantage in that start of the fight. But it just didn't happen.
And now they're left with a do-or-die last-ditch defense. And if they do defend, then 5 minutes later, they're going to be in another scenario where it's do-or-die last-ditch defense. And that can happen like 3 times. They have to, I feel like they have to repel Stark 3 different times before they're even in a position to actually take a little bit of control of the game. And then they still have those 2 lanes of racks that are going to cause them issues throughout the game. So we'll see what happens. Stark can obviously play this really slow if they want to. There's not much need to jump the gun here. Wait till they find their opening. I mean, they could even sit back and farm if they really wanted to secure a game, but I don't think that's necessary.
The AM is still forcing out the top lane. So why not? Like, you just trigger Necros, and up they come. Lycan Wolves are there. And he cold embrace over on the melee creep. The Sonic Wave will fly out, so some decent early damage, but only hits on Boogie and damages the Necros out of half. So what do you really care about this? Ramsey actually has to be careful, because if he jumps in and takes out this Necro, he'll lose his life almost instantly. Instead, they focus on Varlix at the back with the Global Silence. There's no curse. The Darkseer wall, however, does come down, and Boogie, well, he's down for the count, but Ramsey's locked down for the moment. The mana is being burnt off him. He may not have enough to get away to safety. The Shadow Grave or not. One more attack. They glimpse him back over. Ramsey's will pop. He has to buy back. It's now or never right now. The do or die situation. The Searing Chains don't make it any easier for him. Like, the Weave at least is doing his job with the Shallow Grave up and running. But now he runs in close. Boogie's got the damage output. The Sonic Wave will fly, but the bottom lane is gone. The hope is gone. And Stark will take 3rd position in the World Cyber Arena 2015 Open Qualifier for Europe.
Congratulations to Stark. I mean, it was a heartbreaker. The fact that they lost to Empire in that game 3 after pushing it to 81 minutes, I think they made some, you know, it's hard as a professional team to make top-level plays when you're talking about a game that's like 60 minutes. Like, stamina-wise, it just causes like issues. Plus, there's inexperience in dealing games that are that late, because you don't get that scenario that often. But so it really was a heartbreaker for a team like Stark that could have potentially done so much more and gone on to the finals. But at the very least, they secure themselves 3rd place, proving themselves to be the better kings of the North, I guess, against CIS rejects. Yeah,
you could say that. You could say that. For me, I just enjoyed watching Lycan come back into play. They gave me a Jakiro in game number 1. So Stark have satisfied me this evening, but of course I'm not fully satisfied. I need to actually have the proper Star Wars story come to light. The Alliance going up against the Empire. It's coming up next.
There's going to be a lot of puns.
Yeah.
Especially with someone who has the name Toby-Wan casting the game. It's actually almost too good to be true.
Stay tuned. What's good is coming your way.